Who's in charge of your marketing? Me. Who's in charge of your bookkeeping? It's me. Who's in charge? It's me.
Wouldn't you love a backstage pass to candid discussions at the crossroads of motherhood, justice, community, entrepreneurship, mentoring, and success? Host Melissa Rosenblum is one of only a few women certified by the Supreme Court of New Jersey as a criminal trial attorney. When you add kids, a booming law business, and a little black book full of subject matter experts, you've got the Mighty MERP podcast, and part 3 in this series.
So, what was the hardest thing, or what was the biggest learning curve for you about running a business?
That is such a good question. So I'm glad that I am practicing a type of law that I'm really comfortable with, even though it's always evolving and changing, and you need to be on top of all of that, as you know. But the hardest part, so is not that, it's not the law itself. The hardest part is really the administrative and the business end of things, and, managing all of that. I can certainly see why people, hire somebody to handle kind of all that stuff for them. But I am a one-woman show doing it all by myself, and I don't have staff right now. I do have somebody that does a little part-time work for me here and there, thank goodness, but it's basically just me.
So aside from the lawyering, because obviously you like lawyering, you love your job, other than that, what is your favorite part of having your own business?
My favorite part is definitely the flexibility. I like that I can wake up, do a little bit of work, spend time doing things that I want to do in the middle of the day, and then doing a bunch of work at night later on, and having my client appointments during the day, making sure that I have time to network. It's nice that something like this is considered work, where I feel like I'm just going and socializing and having fun. I mean, that's so nice, all the flexibility and the opportunity to just talk to people and meet people. But I also really like that I'm still able to help people, and I'm able to, I hope that I'm able to help my clients as much as I can, and hope that they're able to step out of our appointments and go, okay, now I have a clearer picture of what am I going to be asked when I'm testifying, or, what is my game plan for visiting, or what are the timelines for how long is it going to take for me to get licensed to have a child in my home, or things like that.
Right. And you can give realistic answers. If somebody said to me, how long would it take me to get licensed to be able to become a foster parent? I'd be like,
You'd say, go
hold
call
on.
Jill.
I would tell them. I would be like, hold on a second. And then I would text you, can I have somebody call you? Yeah. The flexibility, I'm sure. I know for me, when I went from being a public defender, which, my hours were set hours. You work certain hours. You were in the office during that time, to just, I was a partner at another firm and worked with another attorney for about 10 years. And going just from the public sector to the private sector, where we could have lunch and rearrange our schedule to leave early, or, my kids were younger then, where I'd be like, well, there's a sporting event now, I'm leaving at 3. It was such a change from being at a public defender's office, where you sort of had to still stay there, during specific hours. Did you have that, or?
Yeah, I had, I would say 50% of the time I was in court. So when I was in court, you're in court.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. And then 25% of the time I was probably in the office, and the other 25% of the time I was in the field visiting my clients. So going to their houses, going to their schools, things like that. And I got to have control over that 50%, but you're still working within the confines of, other people's availability. You're not setting your own schedule. And you're certainly not telling the court when you're going to be there. So you are there when they tell you to be there.
Yes.
And that's, I enjoyed being a litigator for all those years. I had really nice judges I appeared in front of, and that really were invested in the work, not just appointed to this area of law, but truly cared. So that was, it was really nice, but very, it's very different having full control over your schedule.
Yes, which is always nice. I still don't have full control over my schedule because I still have to be in court often, but I can move things around or block times off just to say to my staff, I'm not available during this time, which is really nice. When I have other things that need to get done. So, what's the hardest thing about being your own boss and being the business owner?
Well, I would say what that flexibility means, making sure I am working normal hours in terms of the amount of hours, because I almost feel like law school trains you to just sit down and do work for like an insane period of time. And I have that like in me still. And so I could sit down and literally work for 15 hours and like not get up. I mean, it's crazy. So sometimes I have to remember, like, you're done for the day, take a break, clear your head and go do something else. So, but I find that when I do work like a really, if I'm working like 3 really, really crazy long days, that like, okay, I'm going to take Friday off, and I don't have to ask for that. So, I mean, it's a balance, it's always a balance. And then of course, just the technology sometimes can be tricky. So like with the newer things. So I'll give you an example. This week, I decided to send out my first newsletter on MailerLite, and I clicked save in all these different places and thought it was fine. I did a test email to myself. It came back out fine. Everything was perfect. There was no problem. And then I sent it out.
Welcome to Atlantic City.
And I sent it out and an old version went out. And I was like, what is this? This is unedited. This is garbage. So, and apparently there was a done editing button in the top right-hand corner, not anywhere near the save button. And so I, figured that out after, an hour, and then had to brainstorm, what am I going to do with this? And then, it's like something that took, 4 hours of time extra that shouldn't have taken any time. So, these little things that suck up a lot of time sometimes.
Yeah, the marketing takes a lot of time. I have people jokingly say to me, oh my goodness, your marketing, whatever marketing group you have, or, who's ever handling your marketing. And I'm like, it's me. It's all me.
Yeah, right. You're like,
who's in charge of your marketing? Me. Who's in charge of your bookkeeping? It's me. Who's in charge?
Yeah.
It's me.
Right. It's all you.
It's all me.
And it's how many hours a week do you spend on that stuff? And you're like, as many as I need to. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely am trying to learn to have some boundaries with my clients. The marketing, I don't mind doing things in the morning or at night because it's a little bit more mindless to me. It's not as heavy as going through police reports or expert reports and things like that. But with the boundaries, my clients have my cell phone, and I'm okay with that. It's on my business card. Anyone can take my business card, has my cell phone, and you can text me. But I really do I say to my clients, please don't text me after 8 o'clock unless it's an emergency. And if you have questions about the calendar, call the office. I have a fully functioning staffed office. And last, if you text me, tell me who you are, because I don't save my clients' numbers. And I will get texts at 10 o'clock at night. Hey, do I have court tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
With no name and I know it's a different business, but it is the boundaries. And so I like to make myself available to my clients, but I also find it, at this point in time, like I have to set up the boundaries.
You have to set up the boundaries and maybe automate a message that goes back out. I'll respond to this at 9 a.m. or whatever time.
Well, if they call me, they do get call the office, and I do have an answering service. And so they'll leave a message with the answering service. When they text me, I ignore it till the morning now, where I used to respond, but I don't anymore because I feel like that's the boundary, that if you're texting me at 8 or 9, I just, it's tough.
I can understand exactly where you're coming from because I went through the same thing with my older clients when I was a law guardian. There was a period of time where I also gave out my cell phone number. I stopped doing that once somebody called me at 2 a.m. And I was like, and I had my ringer on. I hadn't, silenced my phone because why would I think anybody was going to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning? But that's when she wanted to call me. And after that, I was like, nope. Okay, I have to learn from that. I have to learn. I can't help anybody at 2 a.m. I'm not fully functional. I'm not giving them good advice, And there's nothing I can do. There's literally nothing I can do for somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody I can call for help.
Exactly. I will say, if I have a client calling me at 2 a.m. and it's an emergency, it's unlikely I'm going to wake up because my phone ringer is never on. But if for some reason I, was getting up at that point, and I noticed it and it was an emergency, if somebody was texting me that it was an emergency, police were at their house, there's warrants being executed, I probably would be responsive. But that is so rare, it's usually not necessary. So, I always jokingly say that there are all these things about running a business that they didn't teach me in law school.
Oh, yes. Tons of it. And when we went to law school, a lot of things were just different, right? Like there was no virtual practicing of law, and I chose to do that now because I'm able to reach more people and you don't have to take a half a day off to come meet with me. You can literally schedule me during a lunch break if you want, or in the beginning of the day or the end of the day, and we can meet then. But that didn't exist when, that entire concept didn't exist when we were in law school.
I love that you keep saying we, because I'm like, When you went to college, did you bring a computer?
I had a desktop and it used to turn on in the middle of the night and like freak my roommate out. It just had a mind of its own.
So I'm going to tell you, when I went to college, I did not have a desktop or a computer. I had a typewriter.
I did my college applications on a typewriter, though, if it makes you feel any better.
It does make me feel better. I actually had like a brother typewriter that had a little bit of like a saving component where you could like had a little screen that was like the size of the iPhone right now. Yeah, that was the extent of it. So, so I guess in the end, you're what, 4 months into your business? 6 months?
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, I haven't counted.
And so no regrets?
Oh, no regrets. No regrets. I don't really believe in regrets. I just believe in like learning from things, even if things don't go the way you want, like my mailer light thing.
Did you just resend it out?
I did. I said, I'm sorry, this is what happened. And then I literally wrote what I just said and resent the correct version. Hopefully people looked at that one. I don't know.
Well, I will say all the posts that I see you making on, the social media that you're on, the LinkedIn, like I'm like, wow, everything always looks so great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm very impressed.
Like you, I am my own marketing department too.
So it's all good. So I usually like to finish up with some like rapid fire type questions. They're not really deep questions. Some of them are just fun to get to know you a little better. And so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Don't worry. What's your favorite movie?
Breakfast Club.
Really?
Love that movie.
I do love that movie. Are you reading anything right now?
I just finished a book, actually, like 2 days ago. So I haven't picked up a new one yet, but I finished reading Refugee by Alan Kratz. It's actually a young adult book, but I really like young adult and kids books.
There's nothing wrong with young adult books. Nothing.
And it's a really great book, and I highly recommend it.
Okay. What do you like to do to relax?
I love to go to the beach, but of course that's not an option all the time. But if I can, I would totally go every day. So I would say, listening to music, and I actually like to meditate about like 10 to 15 minutes if I can during the day to just kind of like refresh and, chill out and refresh and then get back into things.
I love the idea of meditation. I have a book I downloaded on Audibles to learn to meditate. I don't know how, and I think my mind would just not turn off.
Right. So it's okay, though, if your mind doesn't turn off. And if you start with like a short one and do a guided meditation, highly recommend that's where to start, because I would either not turn my brain off or I would fall asleep. But the guided meditations keep me, on track. And if you start thinking about other things like, oh, I'm going to do this podcast later today, it's okay. That thought is in your brain. Okay, recognize, see it, let it leave, and then it drifts off and refocus, and then continue with wherever the guided meditation is.
I sometimes think my running is my meditation, that I can get into a good headspace there. But I'm sure people would say it's different than just meditating.
I'm not sure. I wish I could be a runner, but I am definitely not.
I'll help you on that.
Okay.
I can't
even run a mile, so I'll take the help.
That's how I started, not being able to run a mile. I'm going through the questions in my head. What did I miss? I usually end with, what's your favorite color?
I love a deep blue, purplish kind of color.
Nice.
Yes.
I like that too. My daughter's favorite color is purple, and mine's pink, so we always get things that are pinkish purple together.
Nice.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I am excited to watch your business grow and see how you're marketing and all the things that you're doing. I think it's great. I love that I have a resource now sometimes to send family and people that are interested in adoption, in becoming foster parents, there's lots of things that when I get phone calls, I don't know where to send people. And I love that I have a place to send people now.
Thank you so much. I think it's reciprocal in the way that people sometimes do ask me as well for juvenile attorneys. It's something that people do, ask me about. And so now I have somewhere to send them as well. So thank you.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
That concludes our conversation and this series. Don't forget to subscribe for alerts. You're going to love our upcoming guests. Mighty MERP is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your favorite apps and players. But the best way to experience the show is to visit mightymerp.com. That's mightymerp.com.